The year was 2028. The world watched in horror as Hurricane Phoenix, a storm of unprecedented fury, slammed into the American Gulf Coast. It was a Category 6 hurricane, a classification previously reserved for theoretical models. Phoenix was a monster fueled by the warming waters of a changing climate. It roared ashore, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Coastal cities, once vibrant hubs of life, were reduced to rubble. Thousands perished, their lives claimed by the relentless wind and surge. Hurricane Phoenix was not just a natural disaster, it was a stark and terrifying message. The storm was a wake-up call, a brutal reminder of the growing power of nature in a warming world. It exposed the vulnerability of our infrastructure, the fragility of our coastlines. Phoenix was a harbinger of things to come, a taste of the future we had been warned about. It was the moment America's climate reckoning began. The storm was a turning point. It shattered the illusion of normalcy, forcing the nation and indeed the world to confront the reality of climate change. The devastation was not just a tragedy. It was a catalyst for change, a painful but necessary push towards a more sustainable future. In the aftermath of Phoenix, a new era began to dawn. The Gulf Coast, once the heart of America's energy sector, lay in ruins. Hurricane Phoenix had dealt a crippling blow to the region's infrastructure. Oil rigs, symbols of American energy dominance, were toppled like dominoes. Refineries, responsible for transforming crude oil into gasoline and other fuels, were reduced to twisted metal. Pipelines, the arteries of the energy industry, ruptured and bled their contents into the sea. The economic repercussions were immediate and severe. Gas prices skyrocketed, reaching over $10 per gallon in some areas. The stock market, already jittery from years of climate instability, went into freefall. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged, shedding thousands of points in a matter of days. Panic selling gripped the markets as investors grappled with the new reality. The era of cheap and abundant fossil fuels was over. The storm exposed the deep flaws in America's reliance on fossil fuels. It revealed the vulnerability of a centralized energy system heavily dependent on a single region susceptible to extreme weather events. The Gulf Coast, once a symbol of American energy might, became a stark reminder of the costs of inaction, the price of clinging to outdated and unsustainable energy sources. As the floodwaters receded and the true extent of the devastation became clear, a mass exodus began. Millions of Americans, displaced by Hurricane Phoenix and the ongoing mega-drought that had gripped the West for 3 long years, were on the move. They fled the rising seas of the coasts and the parched landscapes of the interior, seeking refuge in the north. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, and even Toronto saw their populations swell as climate refugees arrived. Desperate for safety and a fresh start, this mass migration strained the resources of receiving communities. Housing shortages became commonplace, driving up prices and forcing many newcomers into overcrowded shelters. Schools and hospitals struggled to cope with the influx of people, their systems overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the crisis. The social fabric of the nation was stretched thin, tested by the displacement and upheaval. The climate migration was a stark illustration of the human cost of climate change. It was a reminder that the impacts of a warming world are not evenly distributed. Those least responsible for the crisis, the poor, the marginalized, the vulnerable, were often the first to be displaced, the first to suffer the consequences of a changing climate. From the ashes of disaster, a new economy began to emerge. The collapse of the fossil fuel industry, hastened by Hurricane Phoenix, created a vacuum. It was a vacuum quickly filled by the burgeoning green tech sector. Investors, recognizing the urgency of the climate crisis and the economic opportunities it presented, poured money into renewable energy, sustainable infrastructure, and climate resilience technologies. The federal government, spurred into action by the scale of the crisis, enacted the Green Marshall Plan. This ambitious $2 trillion plan aimed to rebuild America's infrastructure with an eye towards sustainability and resilience. High-speed rail lines crisscrossed the nation, connecting cities and reducing reliance on cars. Smart grids, powered by renewable energy, replaced outdated and vulnerable energy systems. Coastal cities were fortified with seawalls and surge barriers, designed to withstand the increasingly powerful storms of a warming world. The Green Marshall Plan was more than just an infrastructure program. It was a symbol of hope, a sign that a different future was possible. It signaled a shift in priorities, a recognition that investing in climate action was not just an environmental necessity, but an economic imperative. The plan put millions of Americans back to work, not in the extractive industries of the past, but in the green jobs of the future. It was a down payment on a more sustainable and equitable future, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unprecedented challenges.